Timor-Leste's participation in New Zealand's recognized seasonal employer scheme is creating new opportunities for local workers, with the first group arriving in New Zealand earlier this year. New Zealand's ambassador to Timor-Leste, Helen Tunnah, spoke with RTTL World News about the program's early outcomes and efforts to ensure Timorese workers can access safe, fair, and inclusive employment opportunities.
Timor-Leste joined the recognized seasonal employer scheme last year, with the first group of workers arriving in February this year. What is the initial feedback following the launch of this agreement?
The initial feedback has been very, very positive. We're fortunate we now have 30 workers in New Zealand across 2 different orchards working in the horticulture sector. By the end of this year, we're hopeful we'll have about 120 to 140 workers in New Zealand, which is more than we had anticipated, and that's because of the positive feedback that the employers have given, particularly after visiting Timor-Leste. Last October we had a preliminary group come through. They were hosted by Sofopi, and then we've had a number of employers visit this year.
What role does the embassy play in preparing Timorese workers to work in New Zealand and ensuring they understand their contracts?
Our key areas of focus are on pre-departure training, discussions around good saving habits so that people can bring as much of their earnings back to Timor-Leste as they can, and then just on the cultural awareness of living in New Zealand.
So, Ambassador, a report released by the UN Special Rapporteur last year claimed that workers under Australia's labour mobility scheme are being exploited through deceptive recruitment, excessive deductions and harassment. Are you aware of this study? And how is New Zealand ensuring seasonal workers are not being exploited in these ways?
Obviously, I'm not able to comment on the report on Australia. With respect to New Zealand, we have practices in place to ensure that employers are accredited, so you cannot become an RSE employer until you meet certain conditions. Those conditions are constantly assessed, and we also have labour inspectors that will visit farms and speak with workers. I think both all employers and the Government of New Zealand want to ensure that the workers are treated well when they are in New Zealand.
What measures are in place to ensure Timorese RSE workers are safe at work in New Zealand?
New Zealand has strong employment law and strong labour law. RSE workers are covered by all of New Zealand legislation, just as any other New Zealand worker would be. We also hope that Timor-Leste in time will appoint a country liaison officer, and the role of that person will be to support workers and to bring to the attention of New Zealand's labour inspectorate any issues that require looking at.
How does the Migrant Exploitation Protection Work Visa protect Timorese workers, and what support is provided to workers throughout this process?
At the moment, this hasn't been a visa that has been triggered in New Zealand because we only have 30 workers in New Zealand. It is a visa that is available for all migrant workers if they believe that there is a case of exploitation, and in those circumstances they would report it to the labour inspector. New Zealand is very fortunate in that we do not have very many instances of that visa being triggered with respect to our RSE workers.
The first group of workers to arrive in New Zealand were all men. What more can New Zealand and Timor-Leste do to increase women's participation in the RSE program?
We do want to see equal opportunity for women to be accepted onto the labour mobility program. I'm pleased that one of the employers that was here in May has recruited women, but it is a statistic and a requirement that we look at quite closely to ensure that there is that we are attempting to ensure gender balance on the program. My understanding is that at this stage that the majority of workers who have gone out are men. I think the first 2 groups were all men. but that there will be more roles available for women and some of the new tasks that come on with the new season. But yes, we are watching that. It is something that with our program that we really want to see equal opportunity.
Before we end this interview, do you have any additional information?
Our other strong program of work is our scholarships program, our Manaaki scholarships. Our Deputy Prime Minister visited in 2024, and one of the outcomes of his visit was a tripling of full Manaaki scholarships for Timor-Leste. So we now moved from 12 per year to 32 per year. On top of that, we have around about 50 other scholarships as well, either short-term training or vocational or English language. They're incredibly important again for that development for Timor-Leste and for Timor-Leste people, and I think it probably is one of the strongest programs and one of the strongest offerings that New Zealand can make to Timor-Leste, is that access to education.
I think that's all. Thank you very much for talking with RTTL News Ambassador.
Thank you very much for your time.